Good morning.
Hi, Pyari.
Shweta,
Good morning.
hi, good morning. I got an opportunity to meet the campus, so all right,
Okay.
and it reminds me because I was from St. Joseph, Bombay, so
Okay.
it has the same structural feel,
Okay.
and it's a very beautiful campus, and in the heart of the city,
Bangalore.
like where in the heart and where
Yeah.
all the actions are there, all the corporate offices are there, so it completely makes more sense for the students. So it will be a pleasure to have you because at least you can talk about the subject today and we can give informed decisions for the students to make, right? So yeah,
Sure.
let's
Absolutely, my pleasure.
very good morning, guys. Welcome for one more informative session that we are going to have today. It's a great pleasure to have you with us. And today, the topic that we are going to talk about is, introduction to business analytics, understanding the basics and importance. Today, we know that business analytics has a lot of variations. A lot of industries are adopting as per their needs and requirements. So today we have going to have Rajendra Desai, who I just got introduced to, and he will give us, talk about this topic. And he is the Director of Corporate Relations, St. Joseph Institute of Management, Bangalore. As we were talking, if you had joined earlier, that this institute is in the heart of the city and, and it's a very beautiful campus. But having said that, sir, over to you for the topic, which we are hoping will give information and your perspective on this topic of business analytics. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Piali. So
Yes.
I think before I proceed with the topic, let me just quickly introduce what I do and how am I connected with St. Joseph's Institute of Management. So I look
Yes.
after corporate relations, which is so part of my job is to bring the companies to campus and help them connect with the students for internships, for live projects, and for their placements. That is one of the things which the other thing which we do as part of my role is conduct workshops and training programs in Joseph's where companies send their employees for upskilling. That's the second part of my role. And the third part of my role is consulting with companies in this area of business analytics, data analytics. It's a very new area and a lot of companies find that there are gaps in their knowledge, there are gaps in their capabilities, and they reach out to academic institutions. And for people like me, I'm a consultant with a software company in the US, which works in this area of predictive and prescriptive analytics.
Yes.
So with that short introduction, let me switch to what the students are eagerly looking forward to. What is business analytics? What can they do with it? How can they connect with business analytics, and whether it's an area which they should venture into at all? This is an introduction. This subject, business analytics, it's creating quite a buzz. As you just heard, in my role at St. Joseph's, we receive a lot of inquiries from companies for students with this qualification or with these skills of business analysts, and what this is and whether you should consider it as your area of expertise or your area of for professional development is something that I will talk about today. Okay, so all of us use mobile phones, and most of us have this installed, right? Shazam. Now, this Shazam, for those who are not aware, I think there may be very few amongst you who are not aware of what Shazam is. Shazam is a music identification app. And when, the first time I used it, I heard a song somewhere playing, in a band playing a song, and I wanted to know what that was. So I put on the app within a few seconds. So the app comes on with the words listening. If you can see over here, it says listening. So the app listens, and within a few seconds, it's able to tell me who sang that song, which year, what was the album, etc. Now, this is one of the examples of the wonders of analytics. Okay, if you see the next screen, look at what it does. Shazam is this application that attempts to identify a music track from a 10-second clip, and it has over 2 million songs in its database. Okay. Now you can imagine, for a user to love the app, first thing is the correct song must be identified and in a timely manner, in a few seconds, because after the listening phase, if that listening phase on the mobile phone goes on for too long, you're going to likely to just disconnect or delete the app, right? But here, within 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds, it's able to search a database of 2 million songs. Of course, it has to also deal with the background noise. There may be a car passing by, there may be someone shouting in the neighborhood, someone singing aloud. So there could be so much of confusion. This app has to filter all that confusion, and it also has to decrease the chances of a network dropout. Network dropout means that, while it's transmitting the data back and forth to the database, some kind of disconnection happens, in which case you will get very disappointed and you'll delete the app immediately. Okay. The way Shazam does it is it converts it into frequency and time data, and audio fingerprints are created from the songs and stored in a database. And a search algorithm quickly identifies the best match. This is the power of analytics at work. Imagine 2 million songs, but analytics is about converting that audio signal, those 2 million songs, into some kind of frequency and time data, which has an algorithm which can work very well and search through that those songs in few seconds. Okay, so this is one example. We all have also seen this when we go online shopping, right? Suddenly, they'll this is Amazon, from Amazon's website, and when you go into Amazon sends you all these recommendations. Customers who bought this item also bought the following items. Other items the customers viewed. You recently viewed the items, and these were the ones which are featured. So there's so much of data which Amazon is now. Imagine Amazon with its millions of customers, millions of data points, is able to bring this to you the moment it recognizes you have logged into Amazon. How does it go about doing this? Again, business analytics has something called a recommender system. So it uses these collaborative filtering, content-based filtering, where it looks at similar users, millions of them. It looks at similar content, millions of them. So, there's a lot of data, a lot of processing, but finally, the job of analytics is to deliver that wow in terms of an insight. This is from a company's website, back to work solution, face mask detection. So people walk through the entrance to the company, and immediately the system flashes no face mask. If you look at another example, the same company develops this software which detects, classifies, and tracks objects. So if you can see on the right over here, all the objects are being, this is a human, this is a human, here's a vehicle, here's a vehicle. So it's able to track this. This is again the wonder and the power of analytics. There is data, and then there are analytics techniques, and this is what is the result of it. If you look at face recognition, access control, now most, whether you go to universities or whether you go to colleges like St. Joseph's also, we have a facial recognition system. Within a few seconds it does. And we have like maybe, about 50 odd employees. But even if you have, 5,000 employees, a facial recognition system is able to very quickly identify who you are and allow you access to the premises. So these are all examples of analytics at work. So what is business analytics? Now, business analytics is essentially a collection of tools, techniques, and processes which extract insights from past data to help in better decision making. So whenever you see all those wow examples, essentially there is data, and there are these tools and techniques which are combined together with the data, and that gives us the insight into, are we looking at an animal, are we looking at a person, is that face matching the database, is that song matching the song in the database. All those insights are extracted and help us make a better decision. Now, if you see business analytics, what is it? It is an integration of science, technology, and business context. So what is science? What is the science behind it? Largely mathematics or statistics. If you see a lot of dependence on statistics is what analytics is all about. And then, of course, computer science, that is programming systems, programming languages, are the other thing which has added to business analytics. That is science, technology, and then the domain expertise. That is your knowledge of the area that you are working in. So whether you worked in banking or whether you're working in a financial services or whether you're working in the HR area, or whether you're working in marketing, your domain expertise is a very, very big contributor to this field of business analytics. So what is it all about is this: data plus analytics techniques gives us an insight. Okay. And the study is all about how to work with data, how to work with these techniques, how to combine the two and get the best insights. That's what the whole field is about. Of course, it requires a balance of the three areas, and we should have actionable results. Actionable means if the results are such that the business or you yourself can do nothing with the results, then I think that's something that business analytics tries to avoid. Of course, domain expertise is just as important as having a math, statistics, or computer science background. And it is not about having large data or most data and most complicated algorithms. Sometimes with smaller data sets, with very simple algorithms, the insights are phenomenal and those can be put to use. So there's no need to be frightened of the field thinking that, you have to understand the combination of math, statistics, and computer science. So we'll see examples of all this. So data is essential for conducting any type of analytics. Understanding the 4 V's of data in an organization is required. Okay. Now, what is the 4 V's? Data consists of huge volumes of data. So you have to understand how much data are we working with. Depending on that, your techniques or the methods of analytics will be decided. Variety, we'll see what type of data. I'll show you in the following screens the different data types which are available. And velocity, how frequently is this data coming to us? So if you see someone like Twitter, with a high velocity data channel, every second there are so many thousands of tweets which are coming to every channel. And veracity is about, can we trust the data? So if you can't trust the data, then you'll have to do a lot of pre-processing, cleaning of data, and ensuring that the data is reliable before you step into an analytics journey. So Twitter, as I mentioned earlier, has a lot of text data, which is high velocity, but quality is lacking, which means veracity requires work on Twitter data. That is, when you get the data, and if it is talking about a certain topic, the topic may be put down in so many different ways by the user. The spellings of the words used to describe the topic could be so different by every user that eventually you'll have to sit and do a lot of data cleaning and data processing before we can put the data to use. Okay. This is an example of Twitter data. If you look at the next slide, this is example of gene data, genetic data collection. Okay. So you can see the variety: Twitter data, genetic data. This is a file which is a medical report of someone. This also is data. Okay. If you go to the next file, audio file, this also is data. It may be in different forms, but this is definitely data. Image file, this also is data. So now you can see the number of ways. If you go to Facebook, that's data. If you go to Google, that's data. If you go to YouTube, that's data. Twitter, that's data. So we have so many channels of data. Now the challenge is all this is unstructured data. So the first step an analytics journey requires is to look at this data and bring it to a structured format. Structured format means something like this, the ability to convert audio, video, text, unstructured text, etc., into structured format. So the first part of an analytics journey is to look at whether your data requires cleaning. Once the data has been cleaned, is this data now usable? If it is usable, we have to understand what is the velocity and volume of the data and what is the variety of the data. What are the different kinds of data? Is it audio data? Is it video data? Is it text data? Is it, Twitter data? We have to understand what is the kind of variety of data that we are going to handle. We have to decide what is the volume that will come to us, and we have to decide whether this data is clean enough for our use, and then convert it to a structured format on which analytics techniques can be applied. So there is data, various kinds, various forms, various speeds, unstructured. We want to convert it to structured. So first part of any analytics study is this. One part of it is to convert unstructured data to structured data. Okay. Then we come to different analytics techniques. If you look at the techniques, they're classified into three broad groups. Okay. You remember the slide where we spoke about data, and then we apply techniques to that data to get insights. So data plus techniques is equal to insights. Now, if you look at the different analytics techniques, there are three broad groups. One is descriptive analytics. So there are techniques which give you the ability to look into your data, millions of records of data, and be able to describe what is in that data. So it's usually, things like graphs, bar graphs, pie charts, your histograms, those are names which you might have heard. If you have not heard, don't worry about it. They are tools or techniques of analytics, descriptive analytics, which help us look at what is in our data. So over here, there's something which is shown, which is called a box plot. So again, one more technique which allows us to look at what is in our data. And predictive analytics is about predicting the future outcomes or operations using historical data. So prediction is always very hard. Looking into the future is very hard, but the world of predictive analytics is doing wonders. And this world of predictive analytics is what is allowing a lot of the work in analytics to deliver a wow to the apps. So apps, usually anyone can copy an app and build something which is quite similar to what is already existing to try and compete. But the analytics behind the app, whoever gets it right, and especially the predictive analytics, will deliver a wow to the customer experience, and that app will become more popular than any other app. For example, when I use online delivery platform Swiggy's, okay, in its early days itself, Swiggy's had a very, very extensive analytics working behind its app. And that delivered a wow to the Swiggy's experience. And today, it's, I think, one of the leaders, along with Zomato and some of the others, but it's one of the leaders. So every app collects a huge amount of data, and the analytics techniques work behind the app on the cloud and deliver the insight which comes as a wow to the customer. And if that insight, for example, whatever you have bought through Swiggy's or whatever you have ordered through Swiggy's, definitely there's a database which keeps track of it. But then over a period of time, that database becomes really huge because the number of restaurants you've ordered from, the number of items you've ordered, the number of on certain days you would have ordered certain items, certain times you would have ordered certain items. Now, all this data in a few seconds, Swiggy's analytics backend has to process and give you a suggestion, which makes you wonder, wow, how did Swiggy's know that today I want one of these items to be ordered? So it looks at the date, it looks at the time, it looks at the frequency at which you've ordered, it looks at maybe the month, it looks at how many days ago you ordered, are you ordering the same thing frequently or less frequently? Do you like variety? So it studies all this. And this study is done not manually by anyone. There is an algorithm or an analytics technique at the back end, which is able to work with the data and deliver the wow. So predictive analytics is the big driver of analytics today. Descriptive, of course, it helps you look at data, and we'll see examples of that. And prescriptive is where a certain recommendation will come out of the analytics technique, which ensures that this is the best way forward. So recommendation, which says, if you do this, this is what will happen as an outcome. So we'll see examples of this, okay? Don't worry too much about the names. There are 3 names. Now, of course, when you look at the complexity, if you see, so this is difficulty. If you see this axis, x-axis is difficulty. The y-axis is the value that it delivers. So descriptive analytics, typically the difficulty level is low. You are able to, look at data very easily and look what is inside the data. And that is hindsight. That is what has actually happened in the past. You're able to look at by looking at the data, what happened in the past. There is an intermediate analytics phase, which is called diagnostic analytics. So you're still looking at the past, but instead of just looking at what happened, you're also asking the question, why did it happen? So what happened and why did it happen typically are part of descriptive analytics, but some people prefer to separate it as descriptive and diagnostic, because when you look at the data, you'll say what happened, but the natural question that follows is why did it happen? And that's something that is combined together as part of descriptive analytics. So hindsight, insight, and then predictive analytics. What will happen? So this predictive analytics, what will happen, is the foresight part of it, that is looking into the future. Okay. And prescriptive analytics is where you are looking at what is the optimum. So Shweta, Piali, are there any questions up to this point?
Yes, yes, there is. And we will, one moment, yeah. Just give me a minute. So one question which we have got is what is the difference between product management versus data analytics? That's the first question.
Okay, but the difference between product management and data analytics. So product management is, your role as a product manager is typically a role which comes from marketing. Okay, your ability to look at your product versus competitors' product, and look at the market and look at how the growth of your product, etc., has been. And product management uses some part of business analytics, but the study of business analytics is not restricted to products. The study of business analytics is using any kind of data. It is not marketing data, it is not product data, it could be HR data, it could be finance data, it could be a combination of HR, finance, marketing. Okay, so business analytics is much broader. Product management is a slightly narrower field.
Okay, so that is good. We have now a couple of questions. Priyam Jha is saying, how does business analytics works in the field of pharma? In fact, to add to Priyam Jha, I think we should take this question in the end, where all the product and all the industry, how they're integrating business analytics. Or do you have that part of your session, sir?
I do have some examples. So should we take all the questions at the end?
Yes, I think we should, because, yes, because what has happened, many questions have started coming in respect to different industries and what they feel. Yeah. So we should take this at this end. I think that would be right. Yeah.
Okay, so I paused because I thought maybe, the pace might have been a little too rapid. This is a new topic.
No, I think, it is very beautifully put, because you're giving with examples, right? And it is helping, and is a very simple term for the students to understand. Of course, I mean, I have some questions which I would love to ask, but I think we should, it's going fine, sir. You just, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so please, the students, I will request you, if you find that some areas are getting fuzzy, because I'm moving forward a little at a little accelerated pace, then please, put up your hand or put in a comment there, and we'll slow down a little bit, because it's not hard, it's not difficult, but for for us who have been in the field for a long period of time, sometimes some of those words and some of those phrases and some of those explanations seem like, okay, this is natural or logical, and we keep moving forward. All right. Okay, so we understand that we start from data. We look at the 4 V's of data, and we understand that data combined with analytics techniques gives us insights. So we have to first look at data, and then we have to see what kind of data it is, what kind of volume it is, what kind of variety it is, and what kind of veracity is there in the data, and then process the data to bring unstructured data into structured form. And then we look at the analytics techniques, which are mainly 3 kinds: descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive. And there's, of course, one subcategory called diagnostic analytics. Okay. Now let's look at this one, descriptive analytics. So this is something that I had a new batch of students just a couple of weeks ago. And when they entered the MBA program at Joseph's, this is a tool available on a site called Mentimeter, and a very, very interesting tool. It's called a word cloud. Okay. This word cloud is one of the descriptive analytics techniques or tools which give us a sense of what people's opinion on something is. So I asked them the question, what are your feelings on statistics? And look at this: boring, worst, interesting, hard, okay, complicated, formulas. So now the beauty of this word cloud is what you the number of students here were, I think, about 60 students. Now, out of the 60 students, if a large number of students say boring, boring will come back right in the middle and with a bold big letters. So the size of the letters determines how many people have that opinion. So if you go to the periphery, you'll find some of the opinions, that exciting, etc. Because these are students who are typically coming from a BCom or a BBA background. Okay. And BCom and BBA, statistics is not a subject which is very strongly taught or very well, because people feel that a BCom student or a BBA student doesn't really require statistics. So as a result of which, the connect with maths and statistics of the students who has entered St. Joseph's for an MBA program is a little, they're a little afraid, I would say. And that's why, all these words come out: worst, interesting. So my job as a teacher is to take them through the course on this same word cloud. I will ask them for an opinion at the end of the course. If it remains somewhat similar to this, then I have failed in my job. Okay. But I hope that, those big, bold, boring, worst, hard, complicated, all those are replaced with interesting, exciting, like it, love it, something along those lines. Okay. So if you can see on the right, there is one exciting, one good, so those may be 1%. I hope that the numbers will improve. So this is describing what is in the data. Now with 60 people, this is what you can get. If you have 500 people or 200, I think, how many of you have logged in? I can see 80 odd people have logged in. If I want an opinion, I can very quickly send you a link from Mentimeter. You put in your opinion in 1 word, 2 words, whatever, and all of it will come up as a word cloud over here. Okay. No, I haven't said that, but that would have been interesting at the end of the session. Look at this one. Facebook has recorded the data on breakups, on the frequency of breakups. That is, how many breakups happen or people have broken up. So can you see, this is also describing the data every month: January, February, March, April, May, June. And you can see this on the y-axis is the number of breakups. So this could be in hundreds or thousands. And so this is describing the data, and it's looking at what happened. And then why it happened. Facebook itself has identified the dates for various events, like Valentine's Day, February 14th. After that, you can see there is a gradual increase in this thing. Spring break is a break in the US. So this was a study done by amongst the US students, possibly. That's in between the semester, they have I think it's a 1 week break, and it's called a spring break. And you can see the number of breakups have dramatically increased. And then it keeps coming down, and the rest of the year is quiet. And then as it comes towards the end of the year, 2 weeks before Christmas, before people go to meet their families, in the US typically, schools, college students will go to meet their families and spend time with their families on Christmas. So 2 weeks before Christmas, people have decided that, this partner is not good for me, and they're moving on. So you can see that the insight from data, this is one part, descriptive analytics. Okay, the courses will teach you how to draw these insights from massive amounts of data. Okay, let me see why this slide is not coming on. This slide should, okay. I have to click on it. Yeah, look at this one. This is from Pricewaterhouse's, one of their handouts. What people value most in their customer experience. If you look at the x-axis, level of importance of customer experience, okay, and on the y-axis is worth paying more for. So this is a study conducted by Pricewaterhouse, and people say that efficiency. So you can see this is known as a bubble plot. The size of the bubble determines how many people were of that opinion. Okay, and over here, 80% of the people felt that efficiency, they're willing to pay so much more for the product if there is efficiency. Convenience, they're willing to pay so much for. Knowledge and service, they are willing to pay. Friendly service, they are willing to pay. So very, very useful survey, where if you were to put it down as just 2 columns of data, it would probably not make much sense to management. But the moment it is put down as a graph of this kind, immediately management can connect that we should focus on efficiency, convenience, knowledge, and friendly service. If those 4 things are delivered, we can increase our prices, or get the customer to pay more for our products. So very, very insightful. So this kind of insight, all it requires is some survey data, and from that data, use a tool, which a bubble chart kind of tool, and combine the two to get the insight. Look at this. This is bar graph kind of tool, right? Where when do customers stop interacting with the brand they love? So after one bad experience, all countries, US and Latin American, LATAM is Latin. Again, this is Pricewaterhouse data. So you can see how beautifully it is presented, that in Latin American countries, after one bad experience, more than 45%, almost 50% of the people will stop interacting with the brand. They're very emotional, the Latin Americans. So possibly one bad experience and say, I'm done, And the same thing with after several bad experiences, of course, it is much lower, but it shows that the US, the customer will not be fooled with several bad experiences. So very, very useful insights. All you have to do is understand that there are tools available out there, and the study of those tools, where to use them, how to create the best kind of graphs. That is the area of descriptive statistics. Okay, look at this use case. This is again from a company, Booz Allen Hamilton. They've done this thing for federal employees, where they wanted to identify the key factors that are cause of satisfaction or dissatisfaction different for the different agencies. So federal government is the US government. US government has many agencies, and they wanted to understand what is the cause of satisfaction or dissatisfaction amongst the employees. So what did they do? They did a survey of the employees, built an interactive website that would allow users to easily visualize relationship between various questions from the survey. This was built in R programming language, and the visuals were all interactive, and computations statistics were done behind the scene. So look at the result. This is a screenshot of the result. Over here on the left is the question. I am given a real opportunity to improve my skills in the organization. So this is one of the questions which the employees asked. And based on the feedback, if you see on the right-hand side, there is agree, disagree, neutral, strongly agree, strongly disagree. So red means strongly disagree, blue means agree. So very quickly at headquarters, you can see that, the agree seems to have a larger percentage of people who are agreeable to that question that I am given an opportunity to. So similarly with other areas, other government organizations, and this is online, they built it on a website. So any department which wants to intervene to improve employee satisfaction, they can go to the website, click on these drop-down menus, and get the insight. This is again descriptive statistics at work. So once you have built, or once you have understood what is the kind of tools to use for the insight, those can then be built into an app or a website and then be operationalized, what is called operationalized for the organization. And descriptive statistics operationalized also has very, very good applications in an organization, because immediately, the particular organization can see what is the source of dissatisfaction, how dissatisfied are people, or how satisfied are they with the organization's policies and behavior. Okay. This is the bigger part, the predictive analytics. Okay. Again, the example, I took these from Booz Allen Hamilton because some of the examples I worked largely in the area of prescriptive analytics. So there I have an example of my own work, but these are examples which are well defined with graphics. So I just pulled them off the websites of these people to help you understand. So the motivation for this particular use case was to see in San Francisco, are there any patterns where cars are stolen? So cars are stolen every day from the streets of every city, right? And the motivation by the government, by the state government or the city government was, can we build a predictive analytics model or predictive analytics insight, which will tell us where are the cars most likely to be stolen from? And the data was San Francisco open data, that is, where are the crimes happening? What is the land use? Where are the residential communities? Where are the parks? Where are the lakes? So that is land use. And what is the population in each area? So all that data was available. That is open data. Okay. And then they also consulted someone who's a domain expert to see whether the conclusions of prediction are something which are valid. Okay. And the approach was to try and find out. So this approach built a Monte Carlo model. This is again something from the analytics techniques used in prediction. Okay, Monte Carlo model. Where and when motor vehicles were most likely to be stolen. Now look at the insight. The results were motor vehicles are most likely to be stolen in the dark and from 3 locations in San Francisco. That is when it's late evening or night, 3 locations, the 3 major parks in downtown San Francisco. So they found that, the probability of a vehicle getting stolen is highest when it is after dark and when there's not enough light, and 3 major parks. And the domain expert confirmed that in parks, there are a lot of distractions and obstacles preventing the owners from keeping eye contact with their vehicles. So if you go to a restaurant, typically if the restaurant has a window, every now and then you'll be able to see your vehicle outside. Okay. Or if there's a parking lot, then the person in the parking lot is able to, ensure the safety of your vehicle. So keeping eye contact with vehicles was one of the things which is identified by the domain expert, that places where eye contact is difficult, thefts are likely to be high. And this is what the data produce. So very, very useful, this thing. And then they were able to map it using, these graphics, that which are the hotspots where there could be high incidence of vehicle theft. This is the case where I had worked on. This is prescriptive analytics. That is, what can you do or what should you do to obtain the best outcome in your business for a particular situation. So this was a steel tubes manufacturer. So, steel tubes are the tubes used in heat exchangers, pipes, boiler units, etc. They're round and, of different lengths. Okay. Varying lengths, the steel tubes are manufactured. Diameters are different. So it could be a diameter of 1 inch, 4 inches, 3 inches, 10 inches, and some heat exchangers have like even, 12 inches, 14 inches, 18 inches, very large tubes. Based on the diameter of the tube, the width of the steel sheet has to be cut. So I'll show you a picture which will make a little more sense of this case for you. That is based on the diameter of the tube. That is, if the tube is 1 inch diameter that has to be manufactured, then this roll of steel, the width at which it should be cut is 1 inch. Okay. And steel sheets are available in various thicknesses and widths and tonnage in the form of rolls. So I'll show you a picture of it. This is what the machine looks like. Okay. This is the width of the steel sheet. This sheet comes in the form of rolls. Okay. Now, each width over here is the width of a tube. I mean, diameter of a tube. So this particular diameter here is maybe, 3 inches. This one is maybe 6 inches. This one is maybe 4 inches. This one is maybe 7 inches. Okay. So all these diameter tubes are being cut. The sheet is being cut. This entire roll is cut automatically after setting the cutters on this roller. Okay. Now what happens is, if you do the planning properly, then what is left over on the edge, where no tube is being cut, where there is no demand for that size tube, is minimized. This is called trim waste. So trim waste width minimized using a technique, analytics technique, which will bring about lowest wastage of this. Remember, this width, if it is increased even by 0.5 inches, the roll may be a few hundred feet. So 0.5 inches into a few hundred feet is a lot of waste of steel, and steel is an expensive commodity. So once a company has orders for various diameters of tubes, this particular analytics solution helps them reduce the wastage to the minimum for every run of this tube. So this is based on available immediate demand, availability of sheets in stock, and desire to minimize trim waste. So this is one of the applications of prescriptive analytics. Now this is the area where there's a lot of requirement from companies, and this is one more area which you will study as part of business analytics. Careers in business analytics, you can be a business analyst or you can be a data scientist. Now, what is the difference? I will tell you. And of course, you can be an HR analyst, a financial analyst, marketing analyst, operations analyst. And someone mentioned product manager or product handler, product analyst could be subcategories of this. So what is the difference? This business analytics is the broadest area of study. HR analyst is someone who studies the HR aspects. So you can, in a place like Joseph's, we have dual specialization, where you can study HR plus business analytics. And that combination is very powerful, because today a field of HR or field of marketing has started depending on data enormously. And data is driving the decisions more than gut feel and intuition. Gut feel, intuition, and experience. Management is relying more and more on data. So if you were to combine your interest or passion for HR, or your passion and interest for finance or marketing or operations with business analytics, that is a very powerful combination. Okay. Now, data scientist is not an area that someone who doesn't have an engineering background should venture into, because this requires much more deeper study of the algorithms or the analytics techniques and how to apply them to data. So if you were to look at what a business analyst is doing, he or she is responsible for improving a company's processes, products, services, and systems. They must identify technologically and financially feasible options, okay? Which means they need a basic understanding of data, research, and analytics techniques. That means you don't have to become a programmer. You don't have to become, you should have some knowledge of what programming is. You should have some knowledge of what are the analytics programming tools available out there, but you don't have to become an expert programmer. Leave that to someone with an engineering background who will become better programmers than most of the graduates from BCom, BBA. Okay, because that's not your area of special. Your area of specialization is the business domain. Remember, we spoke about domain, the maths, and computer science. So the people with computer science and pure maths or statistics, their ability to write programs, their ability to work with the algorithms will be of a different kind than the ability of someone with domain expertise. So someone with the domain expertise should be able to leverage that and have a basic understanding of data research and analytics techniques. So I think someone has raised their hand. Do you want to ask the question now? I just have one more slide. After that, we'll switch to questions. Okay.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think we can, since
Yeah.
yeah,
Just
you can
give
ask the
me 2
question.
minutes. Two
Yes,
minutes. I'll finish
yes,
this slide and then we can switch to the questions. Okay. So a data scientist is responsible for finding valuable insights from large quantities of data to help the company make better informed decisions. Again, their ability to convert unstructured, structured data using various algorithms, etc., that becomes the focus. That means the data, conversion of the data, the use of the algorithm, building the algorithm, developing the algorithm, that is their focus. Whereas the business analytics focus is to leave all this to the data scientist and bridge the gap between the business requirement and the data analyst. Okay. Handling big data systems and software is an advantage. So things like Hadoop, you may have heard those words. Hadoop is a distributed database system, and using Amazon cloud, Amazon web services, all that is part of what a data scientist will be looking into. But a business analyst will be the bridge between the data scientist and the business requirements. All right, thank you. That I think should close what I have to say. And my contact details are there. You're most welcome to write to me, mail to me for any further clarification on this. We can switch to the
right.
now.
It was very insightful. In fact, like for the students, the way you simplified, business analytics was amazing. Thank you so much for that, firstly.
Thank you, Priali.
And let's try to take some questions. Before we take some questions, there are a couple of things that comes to mind as a student. What I need to understand from whichever field I am, because you have covered careers, you have covered fields. So what really gets into the study of data analytics, business analytics? Like, will a person from a commerce background or not having the engineering background, able to really pursue this? Will they really flourish, or they have to learn something to equip themselves going forward?
They have to learn because, people with just BCom background or BBA background, you have some
Yes,
sense of what the business world is.
right,
Now, that sense has to be translated into how can you leverage data and analytics techniques
right,
to help you take decision making to a higher level.
right,
And
right, right.
typically, the courses in an MBA or a PGDM program, they take the students through that journey, a 2-year journey where business analytics, the focus shifts to use of data, use of
Yes.
analytics to make better
So
decisions.
what studies will get into it, Dr. Rajendra?
So the studies essentially the area of statistics,
Okay.
basic, and the tools of analytics. So
All right.
that is what the PGDM program or the MBA programs will bring to you.
Okay.
Computer science tools are not addressed in this because they are for the data scientist. And
Right.
that's not what we prepare our students for. We prepare students for being the bridge between the business and the data scientist.
Okay. Fantastic. And also, what about a doctor? Because we had a question here, can a person from a medical field enter into analytic fields also, since we're talking this topic on, which field the students can join from?
Yes, yes, absolutely. But the whole objective of your entering the field should be very clear. You
Right.
know, you are a you're a practicing doctor. Okay. So you already have a lot of specialization domain knowledge behind you. Now, do
Right.
you want to move into the
Yeah.
area of utilization of data
Okay.
to help your field to the next level? For example, if you look at today, the field of artificial intelligence is being
Yes.
leveraged extensively
Yes.
by the medical fraternity to detect diseases like cancer very early.
Yes.
That is a
Yes.
part of predictive analytics.
Okay.
So
So to
if
answer to your question, Jamwal, I hope I got your answer name right. So yes, if you're from a medical field, yes, you have analytics is a very bright future. That's what we understand, right? Shall we take the next question, sir?
yes, sure, go ahead.
Okay, going on the career field, since I have a couple of questions on career, what is the most scope-filled career or field in business analytics? What is a good options after MBA in career? Finance or business analytics MBA, which is a higher paying specializations?
Okay, so that
I've
again
covered it
depends.
in couple of
Yeah.
questions.
No,
Yes,
I
yes,
think more or less you should be clear that, which is a higher paying field is not only about the field, it is
right.
also about your experience and capability. That means a fresher
Hmm.
entering into finance
Yes,
will possibly earn much better if he has a combination of finance and analytics. A
right,
fresher in finance, a fresher in analytics, fresher in analytics will earn better.
right.
But a combination works in finance plus analytics. If you have the ability for finance, then your
Hmm.
domain, remember the domain knowledge, the math knowledge or statistics knowledge and computer science. These are the
Right.
three combinations. So your domain, if it is very strong, then
Yes.
some supplementing that with the math knowledge or statistics or analytics knowledge will take you places. It will be at a much higher level. So
So,
combination is always
yeah.
good. Domain is required.
Yeah. So to answer to your question, all of you who are there and who are yet attending, it's very important that your core has the basics have to be very strong. Okay. So there are two options. You make the basics strong and you really get into the analytics statistics and understand the subject domain better. So that will help you to have a better analytic and it is going to business analytics will become a better options for you. Am I right? Can I put it that way?
Yeah, but domain knowledge is definitely one very big part of business analytics. So you have to
Yes.
keep that in mind that if you want to become a pure business analyst
Right.
without the domain expertise, then you are
Yes.
better off going into as a data scientist, which for BCom BBA graduates is you're competing with
Yeah.
engineers
Yeah.
and it's much harder.
So
So
that take a very informed decision, everybody. I think that is very core right now. Uh, okay, so just I'll take Priyam just to answer to your question. Field of pharma, of course. I think data, business analytics and in the field of pharma is very booming, right, sir?
yes, yes, absolutely. The pharmaceutical industry is, pharmaceutical industry is not by itself. It consists of an HR department, a marketing department, a finance department, and an operations.
Right.
Now, look at
Right.
all four departments. All four departments can leverage
Right.
the power of business analytics because the HR department would like to know who are the prized employees of the company who will leave. So predictive analytics can help them there.
Right.
Operations
Right.
department would like to know which one of my machines is like to fail in the next 3 months.
Right.
Operations plus analytics will help you find that out. So,
Right.
there are questions in every department of a pharmaceutical company. So pharma or you take manufacturing or you take financial services, everyone has a requirement to
Right.
work with data.
Absolutely. Talking about Vaibhav, Jain has a very interesting question. He left his IT job because wasn't fond of coding and
Hmm.
now wants to pursue business analytics MBA. Will it still require me to do coding? So,
No,
do
I
you
think
think he
business.
should pursue
Yeah,
business
I mean,
analytics?
absolutely. But if you're tired of coding, business analytics is an in-between path, where you're not going to become an expert coder, but you already know some aspects of coding, like how a Python language works or an R interface works. That
Right.
gives you an edge, automatic edge. in business analytics, because
So the knowledge will help, but do you think he has to code?
not
See, not really,
not
right?
required. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you can pursue this business analytics to answer to your question, Vaibhav. Talking about Sumit has a question. What is the difference between business analytics and business information system? Very interesting question.
Okay. So business analytics is a field of study. Okay. Business information systems is something that you build inside companies. Okay. So information system is built with some analytics in the background, but it is a system in your firm. So business information system, you can't really study. It is something that will be an outcome of business analytics, which means, you'll have a dashboard for the company. You will,
Right.
in that dashboard, you will be able to interactively determine, if I change something, what will be the impact. But behind the scenes, analytics will have to work.
Right, sir. Thank you. Kriti has a question. Data cleaning comes under the role of data analyst or business analyst. That's the first question. What are the difference in role work they do between them in the entry level perspective?
Okay, so data cleaning, definitely data storage, data cleaning. There is a category of employment called data analyst who take care of this.
Yeah.
But that's not something that an MBA college can teach you. That's just part of the journey of a business analyst. Okay, that how
Okay.
you
So because
data.
because she wanted a distinction, data analytics or business analytics. So it comes under what? Data cleaning.
Okay, so data cleaning, you as a business analyst, you are expected to know data cleaning. Okay,
Okay.
but data storage, how to
Hmm.
store data, how to work with multiple sources of data, etc., is a
Right.
specialization of a data analyst, which again falls under the data scientist category. So there is a part of this which will be part of business analyst, and a part of it which will be part of the data scientist. Now, what do you want to do eventually in your role? Do you
Yeah.
want to be someone who bridges the gap between the business and the insights, or do
Right.
you want to be the driver of the insights? If you want to be the
Okay.
driver of the insights, then your data analyst role will come from becoming a data scientist.
Okay. So what I understand, which requires more in-depth knowledge, if I can say, that analysis part and data science part that comes. But when I talk about business analytics, all this information is in front of you, and how you take a informed decision with all the data that is in front of you. Is
To
that
help the
business analysis
business,
to
to
help the
help the
business?
business. So one
So
has more
yeah,
emphasis on the domain,
yeah.
and one has more emphasis on the techniques.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you, sir. Ritish has an interesting question. What's your take on sport analytics?
Sorry, what analytics?
Sports.
Sports analytics. Okay,
Yeah.
very, very, very strongly coming up. The field is very
Yeah.
strongly coming up.
Exactly. Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
in India, it's still lagging way behind, but
Yeah.
in most of the Western countries, sports analytics is very vibrant.
Right.
But India,
Right.
India is still a little slow, because I think we have yet to get there. Marketing is the area where analytics is very prevalent in India. If you
Hmm.
look at the order of how analytics is being used, marketing definitely,
Yeah.
then the area of finance, and then comes the area of operations and HR, and then
Right.
the other areas, sports and all that, will fall in much lower categories in terms of usage. It's
Exactly.
just a matter of time before it catches up.
Absolutely. The way things are moving so fast, where we thought the digital part of the business will take at least 5-10 years, but I think the last couple of years is just taken a different,
True,
you
true,
know,
very true.
yeah, the speed that has caught up. So definitely, I don't see sports also lagging behind.
It will.
Fortunately, because of the sponsors and the
Yeah.
as a career. Okay. Would again mention? Nay, I don't think. Just click on studying. No, that can a student boom? Of course, Ananya has the same question. Uh, of course, your career will boom if you pursue business analytics, because that's the way forward. And if you can just throw more light, Dr. Rajendra, why do you think business analytics is a next career future in the next, a decade or so?
Okay, so PLE, let me correct you that I'm not a doctor. I'm not a PhD. I'm
I'm
just a
sorry, I
practitioner.
don't know why.
Okay, so just call me Rajendra. Okay, okay,
Okay,
or Raj.
Rajendra is fine. Yes.
Raj
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
why, your question was, why do you think it will boom in
Yeah.
the future, the
I mean,
careers?
looking at the trends and the way the things are going, and adaptive of the business are happening.
Yeah, so I think more and more businesses are realizing that decisions made using gut feel or experience
Hmm.
have a certain quality which is not as good as those being made using data.
Right.
So,
Right.
and the ability, the cost of storing data, the cost of processing data, the cost of
Yeah.
using analytics tool is coming down day by day.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
most of it is free. All these tools are available free. Data
Absolutely.
storage costs have come down to such low levels that 1 terabyte of data you can store in Google Cloud at a very nominal cost. So now when you look at the data storage costs are coming down, analytics tools are becoming better, the cost
Right.
of the tools is becoming lower. So
Right.
companies are saying, why not leverage all this? That leverage this to make better decisions. Earlier, they would
Yes.
depend on someone with 40 years of experience.
Yeah.
Now they are talking
Exactly.
about someone, entering the job, using the tools and making those decisions.
Right. 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 Thank you. That one more thing, which Sayanti Mukherjee has. What are the soft skills that is needed to pursue financial analyst? If you want to pursue financial analyst,
Communication, highest,
soft
highest, highest,
so
highest.
soft skills,
Yeah,
communication for
yeah,
financial analysts.
yeah,
Can
yeah.
you be a little
Communication.
bit, because marketing I thought was more about communication, business development was more about
any
communication.
any any
So
analyst any
okay,
analyst okay,
okay,
any
okay.
analyst has to have
Huh.
the ability to
Hmm.
communicate in business terms, in easily understandable terms, to their
Hmm. Hmm.
management, to
Right.
their customers.
Right. Right.
Okay, so that
Okay.
communication skill, so in an MBA program in PGDM in St. Joseph's,
Hmm.
that's one of the things we focus on very
Okay.
strongly, because
Okay.
even if your technical knowledge has some gaps in it,
Okay.
if you're able to communicate well,
All right.
I think people have a tendency to be convinced of your ability. That is where I'm coming from. That
Okay.
communication skills is definitely one, and of course, in other skills, of course, your skills of ability to use the tools of analytics. Now, those don't
Right.
fall under soft skills; they are tools which you have to absolutely. And your ability to work with people, because you will have to be the mediator between the analytics team and the business team.
Right. So I
So,
hope, I hope that answers the question to you, Sayantin. Vivek has a question. Business analytics is different from management consulting. That's the question. How? Business analytics is different from management
so
consulting.
management consulting is a very broad field. You can consult in areas of strategy, in areas of marketing. And business analytics is one area of consulting. There
Hmm.
too, the specialization is: are you a consultant in predictive analytics or prescriptive analytics? So it's only a
Hmm.
subset. Business analytics is one portion of consulting. Put it that way. It does it.
Okay.
Yeah, it can be driven independently, or it can be part of a complete strategy for a company.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well said, actually. Now, Vaibhav has a question. With business analytics as major in MBA, what other fields are good for minors in MBA? This is a very interesting question.
So that depends on your interest. Is
So
Vaibhav, right?
what I,
Vaibhav's question?
Vaibhav. So I would like to understand, like, what would support that journey of business analytics, that as a minors that they can take, that will supplement or that would complement business analytics.
So whichever domain is of interest to you, remember, domain is one very big part
Ah,
of business analytics, right? So
right,
whichever
right.
domain is of interest to you, the idea is to have that domain expertise in an
Right,
area which you are passionate about. So
right.
if you love finance, or if you feel that you have an ability for finance, Add
Right.
analytics to it, whether it's a major or a minor doesn't matter. If somewhere you add analytics to it, that will make your journey more exciting.
So if you're giving little example, like I have one more person saying, what is the path to become a HR analytics? So can you just supplement, like, for example, if I'm taking business analytics, so my minor becomes HR, can I say that?
Yes, you can.
Something like that. So
Yeah.
wherever, and one more, the name is not given to answer to your question. You can take like marketing if you want to become a marketing or consultant analyst, or you need to take finance if you become a finance analyst and go forward, right?
Yeah.
Great. Now Sumit has a question. Sir, I did a BCom accounting and finance, then was working in ICICI Bank under as financial institution. I have zero knowledge about coding. So how will it help me to fetch a financial analyst job role?
So, are you looking at pursuing a master's?
Yes, I believe that he has to, Sumit, you have to pursue masters. So if he's pursuing masters, how can he fetch a financial analyst job then?
Yeah, so I think that combination of finance
Combinations.
plus analytics
Yeah,
will
yeah,
get you
yeah.
there. Financial analyst, that's what we
Yeah,
are
that
looking
is so. To answer to your question, Sumit, you have to pursue your masters in business analytics, and that will give you the, because your domain is strong. You're already there in finance, so that will help you to take care of this field and take the role of a financial analyst. All right. Getting back to Vivek, Vivek has a question about open AI technology, like ChatGPT can create a thread, can create a threat to both data scientists and business analysts. Please share your views, sir.
Can you just repeat the question? I didn't get the.
Basically, Vivek has a concern that many of us has, that how a tool, AI tools and technology like Chat GPT,
Hmm.
does it, will it create a threat in future for both data scientists and analysts?
Uh, yes, and no in some ways, because when we are talking about Chat
Yeah,
GPT itself is a creation of the basics of analytics, right? I mean, so
right.
at the background, Chat GPT is leveraging a huge amount of analytics and making
Yes.
it easier for people without an analytics background to be
Yeah.
able to get answers uh, to the questions in business questions. Okay, now as of today, I think they're still under development phase. That
Yes.
you can't give Chat GPT your raw data and tell the Chat GPT, give me some sense of it
Yes.
as of today.
Yes.
But
As
that
of
stage
today.
may come. Yeah,
Yes.
that stage may definitely come. So, the Chat GPT is evolving, and
Yeah.
these AI tools will come to a stage where you don't have to understand what is going on behind the scenes. And your
Right.
data, they will be able to interpret and give you the
Yes.
answer completely. So, is your job under threat? Yes, as
Yeah.
long as if you are not specializing in a particular domain. If
Yeah.
your domain knowledge is strong,
Yes.
you should still be relevant, because you can leverage Chat GPT
Yeah.
with your domain expertise.
And
Then to say whether
Rajendra,
Chat
yeah,
GPT is correct.
yeah. And just to add what you're saying, Rajendra, this is the view. Please understand that Chat GPT, or the background, the work that goes behind, right? That is very critical. And I think that's where the data scientists and business analytics role will also play, Rajendra, don't you think?
Yes, yes,
To
yes.
because they are humans only creating the backend software, might be not be the front of it, but I think the job and the future is this, because you will be the backend support for all the AI technologies going forward in all the domains that we are talking about, actually. Right.
If
So
you,
I hope.
yeah, if you refer to the example where the San Francisco State Department wanted to look at where the crimes were committed, they got a domain expert
Yeah.
to confirm the prediction.
Yes.
So, which means, the machine can give you something, but is it really something which is valid and you can use in the future? That
Hmm.
your experience in the domain is
Right.
equally valuable, or if I would say more valuable or equally valuable, the experience from the domain.
Absolutely. So this is the future, guys. All of you who are there, please understand this is a future. You have to. It cannot be generic knowledge. Like before we did MBA in marketing, it was generic. If you get little specific, if you gather the expertise, first understand where your interest and passion lies. Once you understand that, and if you can develop into a core subject or domain and specialize on that, I think that is the way of looking at subjects and fields that you want to go to. Just adding up to what we have to say now. There are a couple of more few questions. Shall we take it, sir? It's beyond the time, but shall we? There are many questions. So do you want to stay and take some more questions, sir?
We can maybe take a couple more questions, and then what I
Yeah,
request
yeah.
is let them mail you the questions, and you can consolidate and send them to me. I don't promise that in a day's time I'll come back, but
Yes,
I
yes,
can
that's very kind of
maybe
you,
take a
sir.
week.
So very quickly, yeah, because I will just try to see which we have not covered, and it adds. Just give me a minute to just scroll by. Um, you know, um, I think we have answered. Everybody has domain specific. I okay. Gauri has. I appeared in BMS. All right. HR. I will try BMS. So can I change the field HR to financial analyst? Gauri, very honestly, understand what is your key interest. If it is HR now and you want to change to finance, Mr. Rajendra, any thoughts on this?
She wants to change from HR to finance, is it?
Yes, yeah,
I get
yeah,
it's if your college allows it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's anytime you feel that what you are doing is not for you, is a good time to
Yes,
change. That's all. But be
absolutely.
sure that what you change
Yeah,
into is
yeah,
something that you have found out is of interest to you. Because if you keep
absolutely.
changing every few months, then you are going to be terribly lost. So the best thing to do is to figure out, yes, I want finance, and figure out why that thought came to your mind. And if that
Yes,
has come, then you switch. If your college allows, you
absolutely.
switch. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're the stage where you can switch now, and
Yeah,
take your majors or
absolutely,
minors.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I think we'll take just a couple of two more questions. Vivek has a question. He's a fresh engineer graduate. Okay. How, one sec, let me just, yes. How do a fresh engineering graduate get domain knowledge? Do you suggest and get work experience and then go for business analytics? Okay. So the question is, he's a fresh graduate, and today he's thinking, shall he get into work, get some experience, and then go for business analytics? What's your view on this?
Yes, absolutely. Because if you're a fresh graduate, you
Yeah,
really are not 100% sure this is an area of your interest. Once you get into the working world,
yeah,
you will have some sense, and you have the flexibility to make a mistake and say this is not for me,
yeah,
switch to something else. And
yes,
for a couple of years, so the ideal my recommendation is two
yeah,
years of
yes,
working before you come into a master's program.
right, right.
Don't straight away enter into a master's program, because you'll be as lost as you were in your undergraduate, and then you'll be sort of trying to find your way through the masters unless you are very clear this is what I want. So to find that clarity, work for a couple of years and then come back into a master's.
Yes, and I'll just take the last question which Neil has. What difference program language we need to learn, or we can just stick to studying one language? Because this is a concern. I think everybody reframes because they think there's too much of coding or data, and if you can just in the last question, what I want, Rajendra, is that if you can just clear the doubts and sum up beautifully what you need as a to be a business analyst.
So,
Yeah.
those three areas, three circles which I put in the slide: domain
Yes.
knowledge,
Yes.
then maths or statistics, and
Yes.
the third one is computer science. Computer science is where programming comes in. Okay. Now, computer science programming today, the most popular language which is used by a lot of the business
Yes.
analysts, professionals, is Python. And that's a very easy language to learn, but you don't have to become a Python specialist. You just need to know what are the basics, because you will be the bridge between the business and the data scientist. The data scientist needs to be very good with Python, R, all these programming languages.
Right.
So if you're not aiming to be a data scientist,
Yes.
then your ability to understand what these languages are is something that a business analytics course will introduce you. It will show you what these languages are, how to do some basic data retention, retrieving, how to do some basic data presentation so that you have a sense. And then there are libraries which attach to these languages, which do a lot of the analytics work for us.
Absolutely.
Okay? So your worry about programming, you have to leave behind, because as a business analytics professional, you're not a data analyst.
Right.
I mean, data scientist. If you become a data scientist, you have to go deep into programming.
Yeah. So I hope it was a very interesting session, because I hope all you have who have been attending and who are yet there, you found this session interesting. Thank you so much, Mr. Rajendra, to make simplifying it and make very specific how we can pursue. Just to sum up what Rajendra has said, domain, just you have to make up your mind which domain you want to be in, right? Once you make up your mind which domain you are going to be in, then you can, because you're going to be a business analyst, you're not a data scientist. So please keep that in mind. And so all you have to do is whenever you're pursuing your MBA in business analytics, just understand the basics, how you're going to breach the cap, because you are going to be the one who's going to actually predict the data after understanding the data, if I can put it that way, right?
Use the insights, not predict the data. You are going to use the insights for improving the business
Absolutely processes. Yes, absolutely. So it's very simple. MBA tool and MBA helps you in business analytics to pursue that dream of yours. And I believe this is going to be the future going forward. So all the best when you'll make up your mind. And thank you so much, Rajendra. It was a pleasure having you today.
My pleasure.
Yes, and thank you everybody. Have a beautiful weekend, all of all. Yeah.